I might have made a little bit of a mushroom mistake, and in this video I want to try to rectify that mistake, and I'm going to show you what I'm actually going to do. So what's the situation here? Well, about 4 months ago I posted a video in which I show you how you can create living pathways by inoculating your wood chip pathways with the grain spawn of the wine cap mushroom, also known as the garden giant or the wandering mushroom. Now, the gist of that video is pretty much still valid. So the way I build up my pathways with straw and then inoculating that straw by scattering the grain spawn on it and then covering up all of the pathways with wood chips. The only thing I probably didn't get right was the amount of grain spawn that I used. So I'm not really sure if I stated it in the video, but I had a bag of 3 liters of grain spawn, and the amount of surface area that I was about to cover was around 10 to 15 square meters. Now that was probably way too little grain spawn for the surface area that I was going to cover and to really effectively inoculate it. Now the idea is that after a few months, when you dig in your pathway where you know that you've inoculated the spot, you might expect to see some mycelial growth or the white fungal threads through your pathways. However, anywhere where I dig now in my pathways where I know that I've inoculated the place, I can't see any mycelial growth. So no white fungal threads, nothing. I still want to bring this experiment or this project to a successful end, so I bought another 2 bags of the wine cap mushroom grain spawn, 2 liters each, so that's 4 liters in total. But instead of scattering them on my pathways like I did before, I'm going to create what they call hotspots. So creating a mushroom hotspot is kind of the opposite thing of spreading it through or over your pathways, where instead of dividing it over a certain amount of surface area, you're going to concentrate your grain spawn in a single spot where it can then hopefully properly settle and eventually branch out through your pathway. So that is exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm going to find some shaded spots next to some of my grow beds. I'm going to dig some holes, put the grain spawn in there, and then cover it up with some of the existing wood chips, and thereby creating a chain of hot spots that maybe eventually will grow towards each other and mingle and become one big mushroom organism. So this is one of the bags with the grain spawn in there, or actually it's more like wood shaving spawn, but as long as it has the mycelium in there. I'm going to dig some holes in the pathway right behind me. There are some grow beds over there, and to the side of them, for the most part of the day, it's a shady area. So that's probably the best spot to create some mushroom hotspots. So let's go over there and I'll show you how I'm going to do it. It's not going to be very hard. All right, I've got my gloves. I got my, do we call this a hand shovel? I'm not really sure. Anyway, rusty but trusty. And I got the first bag of grain spawn right over here. So right next to this grow bed, I'm going to dig a hole of approximately 10 by 10 by 10 centimeters and fill it up with half of the grain spawn that is in this bag. And I'm going to repeat that for the 3 other grow beds in this pathway. All right, so again, the idea is very simple. We start digging a hole about this size. Can be bigger, can be smaller. It really depends on how much grain spawn that you have. Let's clear the dirt and just put it somewhere behind us where no one will see it. Now you can choose to sort of create a little bit of a bed of, let's say, wood shavings or straw or cocoa coir in this little hole over here. I kind of forgot that back at home, but I don't really think it's that necessary. I'm just going to create a nice hole and maybe put some wood chips at the bottom. That could be a great substitute. But yeah. All right, I'd say this is about enough. Now let me get a few wood chips to scatter here at the bottom, just as a long-term energy source for the mycelium. And then I'm going to open the bag. Oh, there we go. And like I said, I'm going to put about half of this bag in the hole and yeah, make a nice cozy hotspot. So let's say like this, maybe just a tad more. There we go. And then all there's to it is to cover it up again. And that's really it. Now, you might want to water this after you created a hotspot. I'm going to do it at the very end when I created all 4 hotspots. All right, let's continue. The reason that these are the better spots in the garden is that most of my garden is in full sunlight, and these sides of the grow beds are the northern side, so these are the most shaded during the day, so that can really help with keeping the mycelium cool. I mean, mycelium is cool anyway, if you get what I mean, but yeah. Anyway, so again, a few of the wood chips at the bottom as a long-term food supply for the mycelium that it can latch onto. And then finally, the other half of the bag. I'm going to take you in for a closer look. Hold on. Let me just get the camera. There we go. And you might be able to spot, let's see, you might be able to spot some of the white threads of the mycelium in there. So all that white stuff, that is actually the mushroom. And yeah, it has been colonizing these wood chips that were in the bag, and hopefully they're going to do the same with all of the other wood chips. Hi there, tripod. All right, let's cover this up. And there we go. And now I'm going to give them all a good splash of water to really sort of fire them up, or in this case, water them up. Have you by any chance witnessed these beautiful water barrels? Yes, I finally did it. After 3 years, I made the construction for my water barrels, and they function just really fine. I might make a video about this, but for now I can just say that I'm very happy with these blue boys. Still takes a while though, but you know, it works. All right, that should be enough. I need more. Damn it. There we go. And that's how you can create mushroom hotspots in your garden. I know, very difficult. 2 things. I'm not expecting any fruiting mushrooms this year from these hotspots. It's only a few more months that the mycelium can really settle in the pathways before it gets too cold and it goes into hibernation mode. So the earliest that I'm expecting any mushrooms to pop up is spring next year, and otherwise it's going to take longer. So somewhere between 9 months to a year. So again, it's going to be a long-term investment, but that's what it is. Another thing is that I have a very active mole in my garden that tends to push up my pathways from time to time, or actually almost daily. And that might actually disrupt the growth of the mycelial networks if it gets too close to the hotspots, but that is a chance that I'm going to have to take. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, and maybe I have inspired you to create your own living pathways. If you're interested in the first video that I made on this subject, then you can watch that right over here. I'm at the water barrels right now. I'm not really sure if you can actually hear me. You know, it would be funny to put this in a post-video edit, post-credit edit. Oh man, I gotta work on my English. All right, here we go.